Hello everybody and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome home everybody. If you find that you just have nobody to talk to about your favorite found footage movies and you feel like nobody really appreciates it on the same level you do, well welcome to ZakIsCinema because we'll appreciate your input here, so feel free to share your love and passion. So today we're going to be doing a review and discussion for the first VHS movie, which came out in 2012. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with some of my videos, I had a blast with VHS Halloween at this past year's Fantastic Fest, and if you're watching this video, I probably already have my VHS Halloween review dedicated video out on the channel, so feel free to check out that. But before I went and saw VHS Halloween, I had actually only seen this very first VHS movie, and spoilers, I definitely enjoyed this first installment here, but really loved VHS Halloween. And you know, with Halloween coming up, we got October here now. I felt like dedicating the entire month of October to the VHS franchise since there's a bunch of them, and I believe 2, maybe 3 spin-off movies. So we're going to be covering the entire franchise. I got some fun ranking videos planned out towards the end of this month. And then moving forward with these reviews, with all my VHS reviews, I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. I normally do like positives, mixed and negative sections, but for these VHS ones, since they're basically short films all wrapped together in one movie, I thought it would be fun to kind of break down each short film in its entirety. So basically doing 5 or 6 mini reviews and then giving you guys my overall thoughts here. And on top of that, we're going to be doing something a little bit different with my rating system. I usually have a pretty standard category of how I rate films, but at the end of each short film, I'm going to be giving it a point system, and then we're going to be averaging it out. So I'm going to be giving the shorts a 0 if it's just not for me, didn't enjoy myself, don't recommend it. About a half a point if I'm a little bit more mixed on it, maybe a little bit mixed negative, mixed positive, that'll get a half point. And then 1 point if I overall really enjoy the short, and then we're going to be averaging it out. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the review and discussion for the first VHS movie, starting with the very first short called Amateur Night, which was directed by David Bruckner. 3 friends bring woman back to their motel room to film a wild night, but one of the girls turns out to be far more terrifying than she seems. So I think I mentioned this in my VHS Halloween review, and I really hope this does not become a trend in all of these VHS segments, but I hate the trope that they've been going for where they have just a bunch of deplorable, horny 20-something-year-old dudes just recording themselves being so awful, creepy, and unsettling, specifically towards the woman that they're interacting with. And with Amateur Night here, that's exactly how it starts. And I can't really tell if this is supposed to be funny in some way, if they're really just trying to go out of their way to make these characters so unlikable. But I just find it frustrating because it's a little different with found footage, but still with some of these segments when they decide to make their characters like that, it always just kind of takes a little bit of intensity out of the short film for me because I really don't care what happens to these characters. I kind of want the worst thing to happen to them. So you can have obnoxious characters but still make them at least somewhat likable. So I wish they went more of that route. So a bit of an issue with that with this short film here. However, I can definitely say that is really my only negative with this first one. I really enjoy this first one, and that's a huge part in played by the creepy girl that they run into at the bar. I believe it's one of the girl's friends, the one with the huge like bug eyes, always looking at the characters and whispering to the one character wearing the glasses with the camera, like whispering to him that she likes him. And it's just so creepy and unsettling, and I like that the actress doesn't go too over the top with it, but that repeated whisper and looking at characters without blinking, you could tell obviously something's up with her, but they do a good job at kind of hiding what exactly is up with her. In this short film, I love the strong, harsh change in the story where you think it's just a bunch of douchey guys coming back to have sex with some girls that they met at the bar. And then there's this harsh change when we finally get to figure out what's been going on with that obviously creepy girl, as it's revealed to us that she is some sort of vampire, as they're taking off her clothes. Something's a little off with her skin. Then you get that teeth reveal, and then she just starts going crazy on all these guys. And then you get that one panic guy as he busts into the bathroom saying that the girl bit a chunk off of his hand. Then we get so many just short, nice glimpses of the vampire girl going crazy on these guys, just tearing them apart. At one point, levitates the dude off the bed and just starts eating and sucking his blood. And I love that the motel room is dark enough where you can't see everything, but not so dark that you can see some things. So I think it makes some of the bits and pieces of gore and blood that we get that much more shocking. A lot of it's in shadows, but like I said, when you get that carnage, it is intense, brutal, and disgusting. Like that one point when I believe the last remaining guy is trying to escape there, and she's sucking blood out of the dude's chest. Just some gnarly shit right there. And then rips off his penis and just flops it on the floor and still is tearing this guy apart. So just really shocking moments like that really work, especially with how harsh of a change it really is, how harsh of a tonal shift it really is. It starts off as this fun, crazy night for these guys and then turns into literally their worst nightmare. And I think this one also has just some genuinely creepy and unsettling parts, like when that last remaining guy with the glasses is trying to escape and going down that creepy motel staircase that's all illuminated by this yellow color from the fluorescent lights. And the girl's kind of crawling down the stairs, and then we get that really cool face reveal of her face split open with her vampire teeth all out, still kind of whispering to the guy that she likes him and is actually kind of into him, but he obviously doesn't want to do anything anymore. Then she starts going over to the corner and starts crying, and he starts running away trying to escape. And then we get that another great reveal of her flying and grabbing him, and then the camera glasses fall down to the ground, but we get that great shot of her literally swooping him up and flying in the dark sky. I loved how that ends, and I love how they went full vampire, just didn't hold back with this short. So overall, I really do enjoy this one. I enjoy its dark and grim story, gross out gore that's really well done, some great practical effects in this one. Yeah, the characters are deplorable, despicable, but kind of makes you enjoy that vampire stuff a little bit more. So for me, I'm giving this 1 point. But the second short in this movie is Second Honeymoon, directed by Ty West. A couple on a road trip is stalked by a stranger, and their vacation takes a chilling and deadly turn. Now, this one, spoilers, I feel like I am a little bit more mixed on it. I think it is interesting, has a great ending, but it really takes a bit to get going. We kind of follow this couple on some random little vacation, and they're just kind of recording their journey together. But it's very slow. It feels very meandering when the couple's just kind of recording each other. And it doesn't help that their vacation is just so boring. The couple just doesn't really seem like an exciting or interesting couple, or a couple that should be together, in my opinion. They just kind of seem like they're with each other, not by choice, but because they're a couple and have to do this shit together. They just seem so boring, and there's not much interesting story-wise or character development-wise going on in this short. However, I think once the plot kicks in and they get that first knock on the door, almost reminiscent of the Strangers movies, of a girl coming and knocking in the middle of the night, and instead of asking for Tamra, they're asking for a ride, and the couple's all confused, a little creeped out. You get a cool shot of her just kind of wandering around the parking lot after they had asked. So I do like when it kind of starts that. Then after we get the reveal that first night, when all of a sudden the camera turns back on and it's obviously the girl that came knocking and is just recording the couple, pulls out a switchblade knife, I thought that was so creepy when she's kind of like pulling back the covers and dragging the knife on his girlfriend. I thought that was so unsettling. And I think more of the idea of this one is what really gets to me, where for whatever reason, I feel like hotels are so fun to go to, especially nice ones, but there's always in the back of the mind, at least for me, maybe somebody coming in there and fucking with you. Like, it almost seems a little bit unsafe because you're basically rooming together with a bunch of strangers all around you. So to me, hotels always kind of creep me out, like something bad's gonna happen, even though at the same time it is overall a pretty safe place to be because you're surrounded by people that could help and intervene. Just being in that unfamiliar spot and sleeping in that unfamiliar spot, I think, is creepy. So it takes that and like adds a killer nightmarish twist to it. So I think I like the idea more than the execution for this one. And I love that all the scares and when the character comes into this motel room of the couple, I love that it's focused on when the characters are at their most vulnerable state, which is dead asleep in this unfamiliar environment. I think, again, the idea just kind of taps into that intrusive thought I feel like most people have had when they're sleeping in somewhere that they haven't really been before, like wondering if somebody could get in, if something's going to happen. And I could not imagine like recording a vacation with a significant other and you're going through the footage and you see just some footage of you sleeping recorded by someone you have no idea who's recording. And I think they have one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen, where that first night when the girl breaks in and is like fucking with them in their sleep and then goes to the bathroom and dips the dude's toothbrush in the toilet, and then you get the morning after shot of him brushing his teeth. I thought that was so creepy and unsettling, but also funny at the same time. However, as the short kind of keeps going, this couple is really just so boring, unfortunately, to follow. I hate how the dude talks in this just monotoned voice, and it just like there's not much going besides the couple of creepy shots at night when that person's breaking in. Just the couple's conversation is so dry and uninteresting. At one point, they're deciding what to do in the morning, and the guy's like, I think we should really take a trip to Vegas on the way home. I want to play craps. I really like craps. Last time I played craps, I had so much fun playing craps. And it's just like, it's just mundane conversations recorded between these couples. And I'm just like waiting to get to the next kind of creepy part. But it leaves off on a strong point when that person comes in again, starts recording them, takes out the switchblade knife and just starts stabbing this shit out of the dude in his neck, in his throat, in his face area. That is so unsettling because I could not imagine waking up to something like that, or waking up and seeing my partner in a spot like that. Then you get that creepy shot afterwards of, then we find out it's like two girls or a couple or something, and they're like, after they just got done murdering the couple, like making out in the bathroom and recording it on the camera. So very creepy stuff in here. Unfortunately, kind of bogged down by the mundane story and couple conversations. So I think for this one, I'm going to stick it with a 0.5 point. So we are at 1.5. But the next short is Tuesday the 17th, directed by Glenn McQuaid. A group of friends head to the woods for a camping trip, but a glitchy, supernatural killer begins hunting them one by one. And this one, the premise is somewhat interesting, and I like that it's kind of a play on that typical camp slasher, obviously parodying almost Friday the 13th with its title, Tuesday the 17th. So it has some good ideas here, but unfortunately, I think this short is just so bogged down with its poor dialogue and just not very good acting and execution of its idea. Again, we get some more douchebag characters just creeping on the girls that they're with, just only talking about sex, and that's the only thing that's on their mind, and that trope kind of gets a little bit tiring and exhausting. And I guess I knew that this is what they were going for, but all the characters seem almost like parody, over-the-top cliche versions of characters that you get in these slasher movies. But I just feel like it's so poorly done and poorly written that it just kind of comes off as very cheap to me. And especially with the very obvious this just creepy girl in the group. Like you get the party slutty girl, you get the douchebags, and then the one girl who's maybe a little bit off or doesn't seem to gel well with the group, but she's very over the top. Like at one point she turns to a character in the camera and is like, Joey, you're all gonna fucking die up here, and then like snaps her gum, and just the like I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like funny or over the top, but it just kind of comes off as just forced and poorly acted. So I did not like stuff like that. And I like the idea of this slasher villain that can't show up on the camera. I think that is very creepy and introduces almost a supernatural edge to it. Just the glitching kind of effects seem very cheap to me, so it always just kind of takes me out of it and takes out really any intensity in the movie, because you always know where he is and when he's going to be showing up. So I like the idea more than the execution. And the story here just to me doesn't make a lot of sense. It's revealed that creepy girl was actually here around this time last year with another group of friends, and this glitchy slasher villain came and killed all her friends, and the police didn't believe her because he didn't show up on any of the cameras or anything. So her plan this year is to take another group of friends to do the same thing, to kind of bait this glitch killer, and then tries to set up traps all around the woods to try and catch him, like some version of Into the Woods mixed with Home Alone. I just feel like it's the dumbest plan ever. Like her plan to catch this killer is to sacrifice another group of friends, and then as soon as everyone starts getting killed off, she just is like panicked and running and really has no idea or a plan to really capture this, and it doesn't work out at all, because why would it? That's such a stupid idea. So this one, I like the general idea. I think it fails in every other aspect for it. So I think for this one, I'm going to give it 0 points. So we are still at that 1.5 points. The next short we're going to be discussing is The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger, directed by Joe Swanberg. A young woman video chats with her boyfriend about strange events in her apartment, only to uncover a disturbing truth about him. Now, personally, I do really enjoy this one and think it has such a creepy, interesting, sci-fi kind of edge to it, and has a lot of fun with that premise. And I also like just the simple storytelling where it's told on a Skype or Zoom chat between a couple talking, and we get to find out all the stuff that's going on just based off the dialogue here. I think there's some genuinely creepy stuff when you see people or creatures moving in the background of these video calls. There's really cool scenes where she's scared talking to her boyfriend but wants to see what the noise is outside of her bedroom, and just kind of like holds her laptop computer first so the boyfriend can see it first, but then us as the audience can also see it first. And I think there's some just creepy stuff moving around in the background. And in this apartment, when you're alone, I relate to that a lot. So I think it's just an interesting way to kind of tell the story, and they definitely execute it very, very well. And I think my only issue with this short is with the guy's acting. And I can't tell if maybe that's me just nitpicking a lot, but obviously something seems off with the guy and just how he's responding. You can't really tell, and I think that's what they were kind of going for. But to me, it almost feels like that actor who's playing the dude in this short was not actually with the other actress. Like that's how it comes off, when I think they were trying to go for maybe something's off with him. But to me, it almost kind of sounds like he is literally watching this recording of this girl and is acting to a video of her and not actually doing it with her. Like something just kind of feels very off, like he's almost just kind of responding with his thoughts out loud as he's watching this girl's like video, and they're not actually interacting together. I hope that makes sense. I think his acting or something with the writing just always kind of takes me out of it just a little bit. But despite that little nitpick there, I think there's a lot of unsettling stuff in here. I love the scene you get in the video chat when Emily, I believe her name is, the girl's like kind of leaning over and he asks like, what are you doing? And she just shows the camera that's like something's in her arm and she's been trying to like dig it out with a knife. And I think to me it introduces a cool element where you're not sure if she is just crazy and not actually seeing anything and is just losing her mind, or if she's telling the truth and something weird and unsettling is actually happening. So kind of gives you that unreliable narrator aspect that I really enjoy here. I remember the first time I watched this, but I love the reveal you get of when she's passed out on the ground and then all of a sudden the boyfriend runs away from his camera and then bursts into her apartment, going over her, trying to help her, and all of a sudden starts cutting into her and pulling out this baby or this like creature almost. And then with the other creatures in there, these alien extraterrestrial beings, he is like in this panic state and frustrated state, asking how many more times he has to do this. So little pieces of dialogue kind of hint at that he's been doing this a while. She mentioned about other injuries and accidents she has had, so he's been doing it for a while to her. But then we also get another revelation at the end when he's talking to another girl, noticing that he's doing it the same thing to this other girl too, so you don't know how many times he has done stuff like this before. So I really enjoy this one. I think it just introduces a cool horror and sci-fi edge to it, this big concept idea, and they execute it so well in this virtual found footage form, but also a short film, and I think go for its full potential here. So really enjoy this one, especially given its limited short film runtime. I think they do a lot of interesting things with this, like the story, like the twist with it too. So I'm giving it 1 point here, so I believe we are at 2.5 points. The next short we're going to be discussing is 10/31/98, directed by Radio Silence. On Halloween night, 4 friends enter what they think is a haunted house attraction, but quickly realize they've stumbled into a real-life nightmare. I always have such a guilty pleasure for these horror movies that are in these haunted house kind of experiences, and this one definitely goes for that vibe. And I love when found footage does it. I praise a lot of the Hell House movies for doing it because it kind of puts me right there with the characters experiencing this literal haunted house. And haunted houses are just, they're a weakness for me. I get so creeped out in haunted houses. Hay rides I can kind of do because I'm with more people, but walking through a home with creepy shit going down is so unsettling to me. So I like that this one kind of goes for that and introduces this cult demonic edge to it. I think my only issue with this one is when we get the group of friends that I believe they believe that they're showing up to some Halloween party, but they go into the home and it's so very clearly abandoned that nobody's been there. They think they're just waiting for people to show up for the party, but it's so obvious that there is no party here and they most likely have the wrong address, but they never question that. They never decide to turn around or call somebody or just kind of wait. So they kind of go investigate through the house. So minor nitpick there, and I think it's definitely worth overlooking just that small little nitpick there, because I love as they're kind of going through the home, you could tell something's off, something's gonna happen, but then they start hearing echoes and chanting and yelling up in the attic. And as they walk up, they see some girl tied up with a bunch of guys chanting, doing some satanic ritual that you initially think it is. And I just find that so creepy, like imagining in this big empty house that some creepy demonic shit like that is just happening with this group of people up in an attic is so creepy to me. Attics are obviously very unsettling, so to imagine that could be happening in your attic or another person's home's attic, like you never really know what's going up there until you see it. So I love that kind of twist and added layer to this short. And I think this one fixes some of my issues with the other short films, is that these these are easily the nicest group of guys that we get. They initially see that cult thing going on. They start running away, but then realize that they have to go save that girl that was screaming for help, and they go back up there to try and save her. So I think it already makes these characters obnoxious at the beginning, but then immediately more likable, which I think adds some more intensity when they get the girl and are trying to run out of the house, because you actually want to see them succeed. They risk their lives for her, so you want to see that play out in a beneficial way for them. So I love that aspect of it too. And some of the CGI doesn't hold up also well when they're running out of the house and stuff starts floating, but I do love that those creepy shots of the hands coming out of the walls and doors, almost like the entities are trying to come through another second dimension or another portal. It's almost like a haunted house version of the Matrix to me, almost like some paranormal saw trap as they're trying to run out and escape. And I love the introduction of, like, you get to see the windows just like close up, doors disappear right in front of our characters. So that's why I kind of said like a paranormal kind of saw trap. I absolutely love that. And I think when they're trying to run away and escape and all that crazy shit's going on, it just adds so much more to this one. And I think the ending is very interesting and introduces another cool twist where you get to find out that, okay, maybe they weren't doing a demonic cult ritual up there. Maybe they were trying to get rid of this girl because she was actually possessed. We get to see her disappear from the car that the boys are in trying to save her. She stops the car on these railroad tracks, and then we just get a shot of them screaming, trying to escape the car as this oncoming train is coming right for them. So I love how it wraps up. I love how it makes you confused on what to think about this girl and what you just experienced. So easily for me, let's give this one another 1 point. So I think we are at 3.5 points. And lastly, let's discuss the frame narrative called Tape 56. And this is directed by Adam Wingard. A group of criminals hired to steal a mysterious VHS tape break into a house only to discover something horrifying as they watch the tapes. Now, this one I think has the biggest issue with having such unlikable characters, just the most deplorable, despicable people. And I do understand that this frame narrative is following a literal group of criminals. They don't shy away from that. But when you introduce these characters as like pulling these crimes and filming them, and the very first crime that we get to see them do is they literally walk up on this girl in a parking garage, grab her like they're about to kidnap her, and then lift up her shirts just to show the camera her boobs and everything, and then they sell that shit online. Like, they're just the most douchebag, awful criminals I've ever seen, and we're following these characters. So again, when they get into this creepy house, I'm just like, okay, how are these characters gonna die? I want to see them die. And I don't like feeling or thinking that when characters are put in situations like this, because again, it kind of removes some intensity, and I just don't care what happens to them, especially after that. So I do find that one very frustrating, especially because what they're doing is just so despicable, and I don't like any of them. However, I think this one does work really, really well as a framing device, as they are hired to steal a tape from this home. They get in there, they all of a sudden go upstairs and see this dead dude sitting in front of a bunch of CRTVs with a bunch of static and videotapes all around. And then as the other characters are going through the home looking for the tapes, you get one or two characters watching the tapes that are left in front of the old dude, trying to see which one is the tape that they're here to steal. And then the tapes that the characters are watching, we're watching throughout the movie. So I think it's simple enough to where it makes sense to use this one as the framing device. Nothing overly creative, but I do like how it very simply kind of connects everything. It explains where the tapes are from, who are watching the tapes. So I do like that as a framing device for this movie. And I think the house that the characters are going through, trying to find it, I think is very creepy. They do have some creepy stuff going on. I think it's obvious, but when the dead guy behind them disappears, reappears, and then ultimately shows up to finish off these characters, I think it's obvious, but I think it works really well. I think to me, I just kind of wish that there was maybe a little bit more towards the end where instead the dead dude that they thought was dead like comes back to life or is possessed or some zombie demon person just ends up waking up and killing all of them. I wish there was a little bit more or a little bit bigger revelation in the house, like maybe a little bit more of a origin of these tapes or something. So I wish there was a little bit more creative decision there. I think it just kind of plays it very safe. So I do like this one overall. I just have some issues, especially with the characters. So I think I'm going to go a half a point for this one here. But overall, I would say this is a fun VHS movie and really only has one segment that I just do not like. And if I rewatch, I'm just going to skip over that segment anyway. That's the kind of nice thing about these VHSs. If there's only a couple, you could skip the rest that you don't want and you don't miss anything. So I think it had some great ideas, some iffy execution in some of them, but a lot of memorable sections, a lot of memorable scenes and scares in here. It's absolutely not perfect, but honestly, I'm pretty surprised at the pretty low reviews on this one. I think it's like in the low 50s on Rotten Tomatoes. Even with the audience score, I think it's in like the 40s. So I don't know if I'm on an island of pretty much really enjoying this one, but I definitely do. So if we average out my rating, given all the shorts and the framing device, we have a 4 out of 6 for the first VHS movie, or if we round up, a 67% for the first VHS movie. But please down below, let me know what you think of this very first VHS movie. Did you see it when it came out? Did you kind of stumble upon this franchise and go back to this one? Let me know if I'm on an island with some of my thoughts and opinions on this, but let me know how this one kind of stacks up to the rest of the franchise for you, or let me know your favorite and least favorite segment from this VHS movie. But that's about it. I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much, and yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.